G'day, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the CoolDadCollective podcast, the podcast that is for dads by a dad, talking everything there is to talk about fatherhood. And we are finally coming at you for the first ever episode in the new Cool Dad studio. I'm very, very excited to be in the studio, sitting around. We've got a whole bunch of new equipment to use. I'm sorry if the lighting and all that's a little bit off. We are still in the testing phase, but I do want to let you in on, I wouldn't say a secret, but I'm very excited. We actually have our first guest coming in this weekend. I'm super excited for it because it'll be the first test run of the new studio with the dual setup. We've worked really, really hard to get everything sorted. And yeah, it's just nice to have a space that is like, my own here, and we're ready to just record out of it. We can come in, I can come in and don't have to worry about where the kids are or what the kids doing. It's great, and I'm ecstatic to get into this week's episode. It is just me today. I am just doing a bit of a solo episode. I do love the solo episodes, especially after a bit of a break from the solo episodes. So it's fantastic to come in. I've got some notes written down about my journey so far over the last few weeks of parent life, just doing all the dad stuff and, the ups, the downs, and the trials and the tribulations, as I used to say. Excuse me. But yeah, so reflecting on the week or the weeks that were, it's been a very busy time around the Cool Dad space. Lots of work being done, lots of just time put into the studio, but also time put in to the dad life, the thing that we're here for, the thing that we do. And I've been loving the dad life at the moment, but I did want to jump in straight away and, do a bit of a chat around just the things I've experienced recently about being a girl dad or just being a dad in general. And one of the things I sort of wanted to jump into really, really early on was the fact that I've been listening to a lot of stuff recently and a lot of stuff lately around, the fact that it's really hard to know whether you're doing the right thing, okay? It's really hard, and I think I'm being really challenged at the moment because, one of the things is I this is the first time that I'm doing this, you know what I mean? And Skylar now is 4.5. She's gearing up to start school, and I don't know, being fully transparent here, one thing that's sort of hitting me is the fact that she's growing up. She's growing up very quickly. It's sort of, it's a bit of like a real moment where there's times that you realize like, your kid's about to go to school, which is kind of cooked when you think about it because, it wasn't that long ago that I was like I was going through photos the other day and I was like seeing the little photos of like Skylar as a baby, and then, I see her now and she's just like a kid, and that comes with a whole bunch of different things as well. For example, we're gearing up for school and I don't know, there's just behavior's kind of been a little bit off recently, and it's one of those things where I think sometimes, because she's a little girl and she does get a little bit stir crazy sometimes. It's been really hot recently, and she's been challenging Kira and I with a lot of behavior. And it's not something that is like, it's not like really, really bad behavior or anything like that, but it's just like the growing pains behavior. So in other words, like, she's getting older and she's also learning to push boundaries in a way that she doesn't push boundaries as in like, as a kid, you say, don't do that. And she goes and does it like, that's like 2-year-old boundary pushing. I'm talking like talking back and, trying to explain to her the right way to communicate, but also not losing my shit when that sort of stuff happens. So, there's been instances where, she's spoken back to my fiance Kia, and, she's overstepped the mark, and, I've had to, it comes with like, you get angry at first. You go back to that root one parenting behavior where you do get angry, and because that's the way that I was sort of dealt with as a kid. When I was disrespectful, it was always like, it came with a verbal consequence, and you realize and you think back to it of like, that did work in a way, but not all the time. And so I've been really challenged recently with the way that I communicate with Skylar around misbehaving and doing the wrong thing and things like that. And I did have a moment the other day where I just lost it a little bit, and I kind of preach this as much as I can on this podcast to keep a cool head. And, you can preach that and say how important it is, but, I'm not perfect either. I still have these moments where I lose it, and I know I shouldn't lose it. And, you have to kind of, I found myself kind of apologizing after I lost it. And yeah, it's a really funny one. And, I did want to reach out, and I know there's a lot of listeners out there that probably have kids that started prep or, whatever, wherever you are, that first sort of year of schooling. And, what was it? Did behavior become challenging around that time? Like, am I saying things right now that are kind of resonating with you around those behaviors that were being exhibited early on before the school start? Like, is she bored? Is she this? Is she that? It's a really tough one. And I was thinking about it in the car ride over to the studio, where I was like, am I doing a good job? I'm always so like, I don't know, when you get to these new challenging phases of parenting, the first thing you always do is question yourself as, am I doing a good job? Am I doing the right things? Is the way that I'm parenting the right way to parent for my kid? And I guess you kind of have to fall back on the fact that you know your kid better than anybody else, but you also don't want to fuck up. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating because for me, being a dad is something that I'm not, I want to be so good at it. I want to be the best that I could possibly be. And I think being the best that I could possibly be is also, I guess, giving myself some grace to say like, hey, dude, this is the first time you've done this. And, there's a little bit of guilt in regards to the fact that Skylar sort of gets the first version of me, the version of me that experiences things for the first time. And then, Summer, my youngest, when she gets to this phase, she's going to get a more experienced, more, I guess, weathered version of myself that is probably going to better suit her. But I have so much guilt to know that Skylar is experiencing my first time being a dad. And I think that's a really, I guess, normal feeling to have. I hope it's a normal feeling to have, but it's also a feeling that I can't escape. And I've been doing a lot of work with my psychologist around it, like, I guess, giving myself grace not to be perfect. And, one thing my psychologist said to me, he goes, well, are you present? And are the girls your number one priority? And the girls will always be my number one priority. And I always will try to be as present as humanly possible. And so allowing myself to feel these feelings, but also acknowledging that these are just feelings. Like, they're just the way that I think at this time. And I don't know, I'm kind of waffling here, but it's just something that's really important to me that I think needs to be out there, because I feel like it's a really common experience for new dads to have that sort of, I don't know, just really high expectations of yourself to be the best that you can be, but you're also doing it for the first time. And it can be really defeating at times, but I do just want to, let dads out there know that it happens to everybody. Like, no one is going to be ever perfect. And, every kid is also different. So my youngest daughter is so different to Skylar, my eldest daughter. And it's one of those things where I'm just like, I don't know, I almost just have to let go and just hope that I'm doing the best that I can. And I think that's the only thing we can do, I guess, as dads, is just doing the best that we can and always just trying to give 110%. Like, no matter whether that's perfect parenting or sub-perfect parenting, but always just trying to make sure that, whatever we're doing, we're reflecting on it. We're going, how can I do that better? So next time that happens, it's going to be better. And yeah, so if that's you going through that, it is so normal. Like, you're going through something that I think we all go through as parents. That second guessing, are we doing a good job? Am I working too much? Am I, giving my kids the right amount of time and focus that is going to positively affect them, I guess. And, if you're going through that too, you're not alone. Like, working with my psychologist on this has been really good, because I do have a short temper. I'm very honest about my short temper, that I'm trying to work on it. I'm trying to make sure that my daughters are getting a very level-headed version of me, and that comes from me making sure that I'm the best version of myself that I can be, so I can sort of, I don't know, relay that to them. So if you're going through that right now, if your kid's about to start school and you're stressing about, their behavior might be a little bit off, or, I was chatting to another parent the other day who had an interview, and, you do interviews for schools, and it's not really like an interview like, are you going to get in type interview? It's more of just like getting a feeling for the school as well as like the kid, having a bit of a chat to different people, and, they had a bit of a horror interview, and we sort of said like, hey, dude, it's fine. It happens. We also didn't have the perfect interview either, but, it happens. You can't control the behavior of a 4-year-old. I mean, as in like, that situation, you need them to behave, but they can get that vibe off you that you're kind of pressuring them into like behaving the right way. And then they just sort of flip out. Like they can feel that pressure that you internally feel. You almost like ruminate that to them, which is always like a scary thing, because you always get anxious in a public setting. Like, are my kids going to do the right thing? Are they going to be like, the beautiful angels that they are right now? Or are they going to flip and turn like little gremlins? So super normal experience. And like I said, I've been documenting my journey through fatherhood since almost the first day. Almost the first day I've been documenting it, and I went through some of my old footage and realized how much as a parent that I've kind of grown since the birth of my first daughter. And it's really important. Like, it's always good to go back and reflect on how you handled situations in the past and how much you've grown. Sometimes it's always good to look in the revision mirror just to see growth. But sometimes that can be really hard because, you do reflect on times that you probably weren't the best, and it does make you wonder whether you have grown or not. But anyway, it's just an important thing I feel like I had to say, because it is important, and I think that a lot of dads go through the same sort of stuff as I go through, as you would. Parenting, we're all on the same journey, no matter how different it is, and it's important to sort of acknowledge how far you've come. Like if you're putting in the work every single day to be the best dad that you can be, always look back on how far you've come. Like it's so important to look back on how far you've come, because it is so it's so important to understand where you've come from. And that's probably the last I'll probably speak about that, because it is a bit of a touchy subject. There are times where I sort of sit up late at night reflecting on the day or the week and wondering if I'm doing a good job, and and I feel like a lot of dads sort of sit, reflect, and wonder. So if that's you, it's completely normal. It's completely normal. Keep working on yourself. Keep making sure, keep improving. Always, never, ever let your kids see you stop trying, stop bettering yourself, because at the end of the day, they learn from that. If you are, in your 30s and you're still constantly trying to get better and better, no matter what it is, whether it's work or yourself or, a fitness goal or a side hustle, no matter what it is, like never let your kids see you stop trying. Never, ever let them see you stop trying, because you're the benchmark. You are the thing they want to be. You are the first version of anything that they see. So be something that your kids are going to be proud of. And that's really hard to know, because they're not going to tell you. So you have to you have to know that you're doing the best job, and almost give yourself like, hey, I'm doing a good job at this. I'm really trying. I'm putting in the work. I'm making sure that my kids see me working every single day. And, leading on to that, we live in a world where the toughest thing about being a parent, and it's a quote that I saw it on Instagram, and it's kind of like a cliche quote, but I think it's equally, a lot of things are cliche, but they're equally as important. Like you can never sort of dismiss them. And one of the quotes was, the hardest thing about parenting is teaching the thing that you love so much how to live without you. And that hits so hard so often, because it is, you're literally teaching a child to navigate the world without you. And there are times when you're navigating the world and it's inevitable that your kids are going to go through tough times. Your kids are going to go through tough times, and you can't ever take away those tough times from your kids. For example, like my eldest daughter, Skylar, starting school. Like you can sugarcoat that as much as you can, but there are going to be times where something might not go right, and you're not going to be there to help them get through that situation. The only thing you can do is shape them as they are, as your kids, to deal with those problems that you're not going to be there for. So, one thing I've made sure I'm doing, and this is, kind of like a bit of a girl dad thing, but it's also like a boy dad. It's just a parenting thing, is that value of self-worth. And self-worth is so important, especially nowadays with the amount of social media that gets shoved in kids' faces, or just anything online that just gets shoved in kids' faces. So, as a dad, as a man, as a figure of, I guess, influence in your child's life, like you are the first point of call when it comes to self-worth with your kid. And that comes in so many different areas, but two main facets that come in, and I've learned this over time, is one, the way you speak about yourself and the way that you speak about your partner or the mother of your child. Like, never ever speak negatively about yourself in front of your kids. Never ever chop yourself down in front of your kids. And I know that is hard. I know it's so hard. And it's important that your kids see that you're vulnerable at times and that you're not perfect, but never ever chop yourself down. Never ever make your kids feel like you don't think that you're good enough, because you are the first point of self-worth. You need to make sure that at all times that you are almost pumping up your own tires, being proud of yourself, being proud of the things that you do, whether it's work, whether it's, when you do something, you do it at the best possible level that you can do it, because you want your kids to see how much you value yourself. And then, the second half of that is externally, in terms of like verbalizing how much like you appreciate your kids. And, as a girl dad, I've been doing it for a while, but it sort of slips in and out. But like those daily affirmations, my mate Trey, who I share the studio with, he posted a video the other day doing his daily affirmations with his daughter. And it's, as much as it's really cute and like, it's amazing, but like, I've started doing the same thing that we start every day, and I make sure of it no matter when it is, whether it's in the morning or whether it's just before I drop them off at kindy or whether it's at night. But I make sure that no matter what, my duty as a dad and as a man, especially for my daughters, that every day they know that they are smart, that they are brave, that they are strong, and that they are beautiful every day. And I know there are some, thoughts about, you don't want to tell your kids that they're so great that they go into life with this like overwhelming, I guess, I don't know. I've heard like selfishness, or like, that you don't, people say like, oh, I don't want to tell them, they're great all the time, because then they might think it and they won't work for things. But I can tell you 100% that doesn't, it never gets old. Like no parent is going to look back and think, man, I wish I didn't tell my daughter she was beautiful every day. Oh man, I wish I didn't tell my son he was strong every day. Like no one ever says that. And so when people say like, you don't want to pump the kids' tires up too much, they might get full of themselves. I honestly think that's bullshit. I'll be honest with you. I do think that's bullshit. I think you should be your kid's number one fan, no matter what. Your kids, your responsibility as a dad, as a parent, is you need to make sure that when your child goes off into the world, you're letting them free. And that could just be going to school. You're not with them during the day, but you make sure that every single day your kids know that you think they are strong, that they are brave. And even for like, some people say, oh, it's just a girl dad thing to call your kid beautiful. But no, you make sure that kid has so much self-worth, that your kid is exploding with self-worth, that when they get into conflict, when they get cut down by somebody, doesn't matter who it is in life, a boss, a teacher, a friend, just some random bully in the playground. You need to make sure that your kids have so much self-worth that they're going to look at that situation and go, whatever. If you think that of me, I don't give a shit. I don't care, because my parents have loaded me up with self-worth that I don't need any acknowledgement from you, because I know that I am the best that I can be, that I am beautiful, I am strong, I am smart, I am funny, I am everything. You are the first person that is going to tell them that. Do not let them go into this world looking for that validation, because looking for that validation as a teenager, as a kid, never ends well. You never, ever want to raise a people pleaser. And that's controversial. That is. But I never, ever want my daughters to go into whatever room that they go into and feel like I need to prove myself to these people. I need to be the person that they want me to be. Bullshit. They need to be the person that they want to be, and they need to be proud of it. And you, as the dad, as a man, as a mum, as a woman, you are the first person that they are going to learn that from. And don't ever stop. Don't ever stop pumping your kids' tires up. Be their number one fan, always. Because I promise you, as I said before, no kid is going to look back and go, oh man, I wish my dad, no girl's going to go, oh man, I wish my dad didn't call me beautiful every day. Or like, as a son, oh man, I wish my dad didn't tell me I was strong and I was brave when I was a kid. No one ever says that. No one ever says that. Do not let your kids look for external validation. You be the most amount of validation as they could possibly get. And that is so important. So if that's something that interests you, those daily affirmations, that's important. That's something that they need to know. And it just builds confidence. Confident kids succeed. Make your kids as confident as humanly possible. And sometimes that's hard. If you're, introspectively negative or down on yourself, it's really hard to pull that energy out and go, hey, no matter what I'm feeling, no matter what is going on in my day, my kids are going to know that they are strong, that they are funny, that they are smart, and that they are beautiful. And it doesn't matter. Girl, boy, doesn't matter. Kids who have self-worth are the kids that go on to do amazing things. They're the kids that go on and they're indestructible. They are indestructible. You have a kid with self-worth, you can't tear him down. You can't tear them down at all. And once again, I said those two pillars. It comes down to you as well. Find your self-worth. And that can be hard. A lot of people may have come from backgrounds or families that their parents never told them that they were proud of them. And that's one of those generational things that we're fixing. That's one of those generational changes that we're making, because I tell you what, the world nowadays is not the world that we grew up in. And it's not going to be the world that it is now in 10 years. We're preparing these kids for a world that doesn't exist yet, which is insane. And, put that on paper and it's almost impossible. So be your kid's number one fan. Never, ever let your kids feel like they're not worth something. Because I promise you, when they get to high school, they're going to thrive. When they get to outside, when they go to uni or get a trade or get an apprenticeship or whatever job they want to go down, whatever route they're going down, when they know that you are 100% supporting them, you can't miss. Like, even if they fuck up and fail, you can't miss. The kid who's scared of failure is always the kid who doesn't try. Don't make your kids scared of failure. If they have something they want to do, whether it's, in your blood or not, make sure that they know that you support them. My daughter has started gymnastics. She's been doing it for a year. And I'm not a gymnastics person. I'm the most unflexible human being on earth. I swear to God I am. And the whole gymnastics thing is so foreign to me, but my daughter loves it. So every single time we go to gymnastics, I say, Sky, you do the best you can do. Go out there and do the best thing that you can do because you love this. Be passionate. And that's another thing that comes into parenting. Passions. Find your kid's passion. Like, immerse yourself in their passion. And don't kill their passion. If they're into something that you weren't quite into, let them try. Let them try. If it's so hard to see kids who are scared to fail because their parents might judge them for it. That is the worst thing you could possibly do, because kids who don't try don't go anywhere. Like, make sure that your kid knows that no matter what they try, you show up every day. No matter what they try, you give them encouragement. No matter what they try, you be as proud as humanly possible. Never, ever break your kid's passion, especially from a young age. Build that passion, no matter what it is. It might even last for a couple weeks, but make sure they're not scared to fail, because kids who are scared to fail never make it. And they're always the ones that are so worried to pursue their passion because they're worried about what people think. And we go back to the self-worth. My kids are never going to worry about what people think. And I know that's hard. And I know they probably will. They're teenagers. But in my head, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that my daughters need no validation from anybody. And that's literally my job as a dad, as a man, as a father. I said dad twice, but yeah, I do. You know, there's obviously some things that are really mean a lot to me, and this is one of those things. As a teacher, it's always hard to see when you can tell that a kid hasn't been told that, one, their parents are proud of them. And it breaks your heart. It breaks your heart seeing a kid look at something and go, I can't do that. And you're like, why not? Oh, I don't know. Like, I might stuff it up. Who fucking cares? Try. And it comes down to you. If you have a skill that you haven't tried yet, don't let age be a factor in that. Don't let age be the thing that defines how much, like, trying new things. My partner, my fiance Kia's, picked up playing the guitar again. And, she's learning. And it's amazing to watch the girls see Kia doing something that she's not, don't kill me for this, Kia, but she's not perfect at it. She's not great at it, but she's learning. And, the girls seeing mum pick up something that she's never sort of done properly before. She's had a little bit of trial and error. But the girls watching her do something and, even down to me supporting her in that thing, my number one fan when I went back to play football, and I went back to play football in like a social team. It wasn't crazy. It's nothing crazy, actually. It's more to do with fun. But my number one supporter was Kia. She was always like, just do it. Do it. I want to bring the girls. I want the girls to see you out on the field doing something that you love, something that involves failing time after time, something that when I'm on the field and I stuff up and the kids see my emotion when I screw up, being like, that's dad trying. That's dad working his ass off because he loves something. No matter what level he's doing it at, he loves it. And, he's going to stuff up, but he's also going to do some cool stuff that the kids are going to see. And then, when you come off and you can see that look that, like, when I come off the field, and as I said, it's just social league, it's nothing crazy. But to see the look on my daughter's face when I come off the field and I'm sweaty and I've worked hard, and they look at me and go, that's dad. Dad's doing cool shit, So a bit of a loaded episode this week, but I think it's important. I as much as I love these solo episodes, just being around like funny shit that's happened as a dad. And don't worry, there's so much funny shit, and there's always going to be stuff that pops up that I put on my Instagram that's funny. But these moments, these episodes are the ones that I like, because they're things that I've learnt and things that I see and things that I'm trying to do to make sure that I'm the best, and as in the best version of myself, not the best. But yeah, I'll never let my daughters see me not try. And it comes down to everything. I'm making sure that I'm eating decent foods. I'm making sure that I'm working out as much as I can. I'm not saying that I'm a fucking fitness freak or a great runner or an Olympic lifter or anything like that, but I don't want to see my girls ever see me. Sorry, I don't want my girls to ever see me stop trying. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from this episode. Don't stop trying. I have so many dads hit me up all the time. Like, I want to start this thing and I'm worried it's not going to take off. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares if it doesn't take off? It's not about that. It's about your kids seeing you putting your passion and your effort into something and passing that on to them. You can 100% pass on effort and passion and the ability to try. So guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. I hope that was like a little bit of motivation to get you through the week. I know when I put these thoughts into the world, I guess I'd like manifest them or whatever you want to call it. I don't know how spiritual or shit you are, but when you put these words out there, when I put these words out there and I publish them, it's an accountability thing for me. When I listen to this, when I go back and edit, I know that I'm like, this is a reminder. And if this is the reminder that you needed to go home and try something, show up for your kids, tell them that they're brave, that they're strong, that no one else needs to validate them besides themselves. That's your job as a dad. That's your job as a man. And that's where it comes from. So, boy dad, girl dad, no matter what you are, Make sure your kids know that you are their number one fan. Guys, have a great rest of your week. If you want to get in contact with the podcast, head over to or email CoolDadCollective@hotmail.com or head on socials at CoolDadCollective_ on Instagram or at CoolDadCollective, wherever else you want to see my rough lid. Guys, have a fantastic rest of your week and enjoy the time that you have with your kids. Peace.